Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Pulp Crazy. I'm your host, Jason Aiken. In this week's episode, I will be reviewing John Carter, Warlord of Mars, #1, from Dynamite Entertainment. The book is written by Ron Marz and illustrated by Abishek Malsuni. Nanjan Jamberi did a great job on the colors for this book, and Rob Steen did the lettering. This comic just came out this week, so I wanted to put up a review, as this is a pretty big occasion. This is the first authorized John Carter comic we've seen, since years ago when Marvel put out their comics to coincide with the release of the Disney movie. Dynamite has been publishing comics set around the public domain John Carter stories, but a settlement has been reached between Dynamite and Edgar Burroughs Incorporated that allows for new, authorized tales to be told. John Carter, Warlord of Mars #1, marks the beginning of this partnership. If you're a comic fan, you've heard the name Ron Marz before. He's written a bunch of comics, but he's best known for his work on Kyle Rayner, the modern-age Green Lantern. The art team of Abishek Malsuni and Nanjan Jamberi are brand new to me, but I was blown away by the artwork in this first issue. The figures were well rendered, and the colors popped right off the page. They really did a great job on this. The first issue opens up with Helium under siege, and Deja Thoris held captive by an unknown individual. With the help of a Barsoomian trader, Deja, for all intents and purposes, is drugged, and made to tell her captor everything she knows about John Carter and Barsoom. This was an interesting mechanism to deliver some basic information on John Carter, Barsoom, and Barsoom's inhabitants, to not only Deja's captor, but the audience as well. After this scene, we check in with John Carter, Tars Tarkas, Woola, and the rest of their forces, as they are repelling an alien invasion in the Martian wastes. These are the same alien invaders who are currently invading Helium. Carter uses his prodigious leaping ability and strength to squash this particular arm of the invasion. We then go back to Deja Thoris, where it is revealed the alien invaders are being led by an Earthman. This wasn't surprising, as you could make out the Union officer uniform even in the silhouette. Her captor's name is Captain Jack Clark, and he and Carter have a history, it appears. Which makes sense, since Carter was a captain in the Confederate Cavalry during the Civil War. I'm also assuming that this gives Carter a physical rival to fight later on in this storyline, as both Earthmen will be evenly matched in strength on Barsoom, with only their fighting abilities and tactics to decide the battle. The issue ends with Clark revealing himself to Deja, and stating his intentions of conquering not only Barsoom and John Carter, but he also plans to return to Earth and conquer his home planet as well. We aren't given any information on how Clark joined up with these alien invaders, or how he left Earth in the first place. Now, I thought this was a fairly good first issue. I would have preferred to see more of Carter in action, but Deja Thoris was needed from a pure expositional standpoint. It made sense to have her relate all the information about Barsoom to their captor, since this is her home planet. Deja Thoris has become really popular lately. The Dynamite comics, I think, have a lot to do with that, and the cheesecake cover art. But the bottom line is she's a great character, and I think we'll be seeing just as much of her as we do John Carter in this Warlord of Mars series. I hope in upcoming issues we'll see less exposition and more action, since the groundwork's been laid for this opening storyline. All the players are in place. We just got to see what happens next. One thing about the alien invaders that kind of caught my attention, in my mind they look sort of like run-of-the-mill science fiction brutes you would see in 90s comics. They're heavily muscled, partially armored, some have shoulder pads, and they have razor-sharp teeth. But I have to say, they really don't look out of place when fighting against Red Martians and the Tharks. I was impressed that none of the invaders looked exactly the same. It looks like care was given to have slight variation among them. I'm curious to see how this series turns out. I've been wanting to read new Barsoom fiction for a while now. I was hoping the John Carter of Mars comic strip on the Edgar Rice Burroughs website would have new Barsoom tales, but it looks like they're just adapting the original novels. So I was pumped to see that Dynamite was putting out new tales in comic book format. I'm not sure exactly at what point in the John Carter of Mars series that this new arc could take place in. Carthoris and Thuvia haven't shown up, but that doesn't mean they aren't off doing something on their own. It looks like this is a pretty big invasion, so they could be off somewhere fighting off invaders on their own. Comics are almost always written with an arc or storyline in mind today, so that they can be collected in trade paperback. Once this arc concludes, I'll check back in and provide a review of the arc as a whole. Well, that's it for this week's episode. Pulp Crazy is located at pulpcrazy.com. I'm at Pulp Crazy on Twitter, and facebook.com/pulpcrazy. My YouTube channel is youtube.com/pulpcast. You can also email me at pulpcrazy@gmail.com. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.